This is Amateur Faith Night, a podcast where real-life friends talk about real-life religion, where questions are encouraged, doubt is talked about, and following Jesus is our main priority. Let this be a starting place for you to research things and study them out for yourself. God is bigger than all of our questions, and it is okay to not have all of the answers.
All right.
Okay. Video! So excited. And I had all this grandiose ideas. Is that a word? Grandiose, right?
No, I don't even.
Grandiose ideas of how I wanted to do this.
Grandiose is the word.
Grandiose.
Yes.
Is that how you say it? Grandiose?
Yeah.
Grandiose. Are you sure that's how you say that?
Positive.
Okay. I mean,
100%.
Because I wanted to dress cute and do my hair and makeup and
Yes.
yeah. Then I decided I'm not going to set the bar too high the very first episode.
You want to grow into it.
Well, I feel like if I did that, then I would feel like I had to do that every single time.
Exactly.
So this is what we get.
Exactly. That's why I started in a t-shirt.
I'm wearing a flannel.
Only.
I know. So we are very excited to start videos, and our YouTube channel is up and running, and we have a new logo, and everything is going to be brand new now. So we're basically revamping everything, not really starting from the beginning, but kind of starting from the beginning. But have patience with us, especially me, because I'm technologically challenged and I don't know what I'm doing. So we're going to learn, just like we did on the podcast. I think we finally got the audio. I feel like my head is turned a lot. We finally got the audio part down, I think, on the podcast, but this is going to be a new challenge. So, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Jump right in.
I'm so excited because now we can all see Gary's facial expressions.
I'm just going to
and his cute little seashell that he plays with every single episode.
This has been a member of the podcast.
I kept it in here just for you.
Very appreciative.
Yeah. I also just realized that I bought this really cute cross to go on the wall, and I can't even see it in this take, so we may have to do some adjusting later, but
it's all right. We don't have graven images in our house.
Okay.
By the way, we want to thank our sponsor for the night, Word of Flame Publishing. 2 thumbs up. Don't check them out.
Why?
No, really, they're not sponsoring us.
Why really? You had to disclaim that. I'm pretty sure everyone would know that.
You never know. They can.
Gary has no idea who that is.
Don't know.
Okay.
I thought you guys had a publisher friend.
I don't think they're our friends.
Word of Flame Publishing is the official publishing division of the United Pentecostal Church International.
Okay.
So
it's an inside joke.
I'm so sorry.
But now you got it.
But now you have it. We're trying to include you in as many things as possible.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I'll know.
Right. Also, I'm very disappointed because I wanted to have a cute coffee cup too for tonight, and my daughter took mine, so I had to use
coffee cup.
a plain one. Anyway, so this episode is going to be probably, I don't know, I'm going to sit here and say it's going to be short. It's probably not going to be. It's probably not going to be because we'll probably chit chat, but I did kind of want to go through just intro, get to know you, that kind of stuff, just because I think most people know my backstory for the most part, but I thought if we were doing everything new and kicking this off new, then we can just go through that again. Maybe not so much just me, but maybe Jeremy. He doesn't like to talk about himself.
I like to talk about myself just fine.
Tell us your favorite color.
Blue.
Anyways, very deep theological conversations going on. We don't have a script either. I didn't.
No notes.
No notes. Open mic night. We are just doing intros because I think if you know where someone's coming from, I think it's easier to, I don't know, relate to them. So everyone knows probably for the most part, Jeremy and I grew up UPC. Gary, not so much. But Gary did get to go to UPC service.
I did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people there.
It was a youth convention service, so there was a few thousand probably 2, 3, 4.
I'd say 2,500.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a very bad judge of that. So you've...
It was very passionate, loud, a lot of excitement,
yeah,
a lot of yelling.
Gary, did you run the aisles?
I did not.
No, but Gary's facial expressions when other people did were priceless.
Those kids were really into it.
Yeah.
I do not doubt at all that they were really like pumped up.
Yep. And sincere.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They looked ecstatic.
They're all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Or whatever. Anyways. So, I grew up UPC. We got married when I was 18. Always questioned everything. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have heard my side and you're just not talking.
Waiting for you to stop.
Okay, I'm stopping.
Oh, is it my turn?
She stopped.
Okay.
So rude. It's fine.
Yes, Jennifer and I, we got married very young. Both grew up in the UPC, same church for the most part. And, question things from pretty much a young age, being a teenager on, and everything from standards to salvation. And a lot of times just given pretty much, I would consider, petty answers as to why we did or supposedly believed the things that we did and believed.
I don't think they were meaning to be petty. I don't think they meant to kind of brush you off.
No.
I think
well, for the most part, I don't think that was the case, but they were just padded answers that came from pamphlets or, prepackaged Bible studies that they pretty much memorized from the organization. And luckily, through, I would say, life circumstances, direction of the Holy Spirit, Jennifer and I eventually got out, and a lot of it was studying our way out.
I was going to say that's an abbreviated version of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man of few words over here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So you say you tested your way out of the UPC or studied your way out?
Yes.
Meaning you got curious. Is this stuff we're being told? Is it true? Why are they giving me these brochure answers? Why not they expanding on some of my questions? I'm going to figure this out myself type stuff.
Well, let's go back several years now. That's right. So, so if we go back a few years, a fun time in my life. My father passed away.
Oh my God!
Cool. Yeah, it's last. Add highlights through the video. Wow. No more dead.
Jazz hands. My father passed away, who was a UPCI minister, pastor of a small church in northern Arkansas. And not long after he passed away, my sister, who's younger than myself, she announced to us that she was leaving the organization mainly due to she didn't believe in the standards. And so Jennifer and I were a little perplexed because we had grown up in it. We didn't always agree with it, but it's all we ever knew. And so we started doing a deep dive study mainly into standards to be able to explain to our children why we believed what we believed. And that's kind of what started the process.
Yep. Well, ironically, because our children, like we've said before, were the reason why we stayed, too. Mm-hmm. And then also the reason why we left.
Dang kids.
I know.
So this, what you just said, and you mentioned the word standards a couple times, would be the reason why I never responded to that text when you said we should talk about standards, because I had no idea what you guys were talking about.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
note to self.
Note to self.
Yeah.
You may need to spell it out for Gary.
STANDARDS.
Okay. I was waiting for you to make sure you knew how to spell it.
It was in the text.
Standards. I guess it's like
rules.
Yeah, but I don't. know if that's something that like the UPC, it's not specific to the UPC. Like
So
there's
it's
a lot
not
of
like-
holiness churches teach what they call standards, but I'm trying to think if that's like how like outsiders would describe it, or they themselves would give that definition. So standards as in like dress code and
It's not. It's not written down somewhere.
Oh no!
Oh, no, it
A good
is.
chunk of it is.
Oh, it is.
yeah.
But it's not labeled like standards. Like it's not a.
I think it's labeled holiness standards.
All right, so I've been wrong all this whole time. Everything I'm saying, you say, oh yeah.
I think I don't know. Now I'm going to have to look. I think it is labeled holiness standards in the Articles of Faith, or
At least it was at one time, I think.
I could be completely wrong on that. Don't quote me on that.
Follow them all, then you're in trouble.
Well,
Well, you're going to burn your.
that depends
Fire
on the
insurance is
pastor.
Gotcha.
Well, no, that depends on the pastor. You know, because, okay, so like some churches, you can't wear wedding rings because jewelry is like tabooed anyways. So there are some churches that let you because it has a purpose. So there's so many like little rules within the rules that you learn as you grow in that organization, I guess. But like a lot of holiness churches have that holiness standard anyway, which we are going to break down holiness standards. I really am regretting the decision to not fix my hair.
Why? Because you've been playing with it the whole time?
I wish I didn't have to see myself. The computer is like right in front of us, so yeah, that was a mistake. I should have done something differently. Anyway,
Me too.
you get what you get.
Yeah, but I am a seashell, so. There you go.
I saved it just for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys leave the church.
Yeah, but
Or
that
like-
wasn't over. It wasn't over standards, though.
No, that's not why we left at
So
all.
before you get to the point of leaving the church, what is that time frame of I'm studying it out for myself to we got to get going?
4 months.
Yeah, 4 to 5 months.
Well, actually, longer than that. I think 6 months. Because we started in January. Like,
We started in January. We had
studying.
decided we were going to leave probably in May, but we didn't until Father's Day weekend officially.
What was the time period leading up to January? Was January when you really dove into studying?
Yes.
right.
So the conversations leading into January.
So,
was,
January 2015 is when Jeremy's dad passed away. And then,
Thanks for bringing it up.
yeah.
such a counter.
So, January 2015. And then his sister left in the summer. I would say
don't
summer.
recall. That sounds about right.
I don't know, something like that. And then at that point, like through the fall, so I started researching like churches around here that taught 3-step salvation, which we've kind of gotten into a little bit, and but didn't teach the holiness standards. Because I thought, like, I was so sure on salvation, but I wasn't 100% sure on the standards before we even started studying. And there aren't any, basically. So that's what made me say, okay, we have to actually sit down and study this out. And I'm very methodical, like, and so is Jeremy. He can sit over there and play that he's not, but he is. So we had to have a plan. And so that was our plan. Like the beginning of the year, we decided that we were going to study it out with another couple and then decide.
See where the answers took you.
Right.
Yes.
But we didn't want to leave, honestly. Like, we really didn't.
We were actually starting to study so once again we could explain to our children why we believed and lived the way we believed and lived. It wasn't to leave, it was actually to strengthen our faith, which in the end it did, at least for me, very much so.
Oh, yeah. Probably not in the way that they wanted it to.
But as we studied standards and we found that there wasn't any biblical reasoning for the standards that we were studying, then it kind of just led us on to salvation, because I'm like, if this isn't right and it's way off base, then we need to study out salvation, which we did.
Which it was really interesting, honestly, how God totally did it, because I would not have even known to question the salvation part had like certain things not happened. once we realized that the standards were completely wrong, it kind of led us to the point where what do we do now? Because if you don't abide by the standards, then you're disobeying your pastor.
And if you're not right with the pastor, then you're not right with the master.
Not our quote.
That's a bumper sticker.
Somebody did say that though, for real.
Wayne Huntley.
Okay.
Wayne
Gotta
Huntley.
give credit where credit's due. So yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But other than
God played a role in revealing some things to you along the way that
because
strengthened your curiosity.
I felt like I was lying to the world if I walked out dressed UPC, with a skirt and long hair, because I didn't believe it. And so for me to portray, yes, because I felt like I was just a fraud at that point, because I'm I know this isn't right. I know this isn't biblical. And
I'm just pretending right now.
Yeah. So I think it was very, it was very depressing, honestly, because I didn't know what to do. And then I knew somebody who attends the church that we attend now. And I called her and was like, this is where I'm at. And she talked to me a long time. She's a very sweet person about the church and the beliefs and everything. And that made me go, ooh, can't go there, because they don't teach oneness and they don't speak in tongues and run the aisles. And at the same time, I was talking to her, Jeremy started researching the history of the UPC. And as we've all had that discussion, how fraudulent that is. So I think between all of that, we were like, oh, yeah.
Coming soon to the Amateur Faith Night store, Jeremy's going to have his notes up for sale. It'll be in binder form.
So I guess for those that may possibly just discover us on this very first episode, we have been doing an audio podcast.
Oh yeah, please don't judge us on this.
And we did a 6-part series on the history of the UPC. So if you want to know any more about that, you may want to check out that audio podcast.
You've made the decision to leave now. You guys have prayed about it. You've talked to each other. Obviously, you've been involved in that church a while. You have friends there, probably still some family, wasn't it?
Oh, at the church that we left?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to leave. How's that feel?
Scary.
It was so scary. It was so scary.
Because that's all you know.
Right. Well, and
doesn't the church have a history of was that word, ostracizing people?
Ostracizing, yes. See, we're helping each other out with pronouncing.
We got all sorts of big words.
Oh my
we just don't know how to say them.
Yeah.
So you were pretty much knew that once you made that call it's not like you're going to be able to be friends and stuff.
I think I had in my head that it wouldn't be like that for us, because
you're cool.
I mean, we really are.
Brewers.
We are very cool.
You're the Brewers.
Yeah.
Who's not going to talk to the Brewers?
Exactly.
No, but we I thought it was going to be different just because I was naive. But and not everybody was rude, but everyone stopped talking to us.
Do you think they were instructed to do that, or was it a little bit of both?
Well, I will say that I know for a fact that there is a local church that tells their members not to talk to us specifically, but I think that was more after my book came out. I don't really think that actually
Where can you find that book?
Amazon.
Okay.
What's the name?
Oh, I have mine. Where's mine? Oh, yeah, my book. Yeah. Anyway.
It's opposite day.
What?
I don't know.
But no, it was very lonely because we didn't know anybody at our new church, and I didn't really want to talk to anybody anyways. No offense, Gary, but
you didn't hide it. I mean, you looked like every time you approached it was like.
I still do that. It's so bad. I got cornered by a pastor on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Whatever day that was.
I remember when we started hanging out at the cross country practices. When your son we were coaching him for cross country. You were still a little snippety. That's a big word.
I have a resting face.
Yeah,
I do.
No.
It's true.
No.
I also have a giant zit on my forehead because that would be, how my life works when we're going to do a video.
Zit.
Like, I haven't had a zit in probably like a year or more. Anyway.
Well, you started stressing over it.
I really wasn't, though.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, you've recovered. It's not nearly as obvious anymore that you don't like people. You fake it very well.
Thanks, Gary. I don't feel like it's obvious. I still struggle with that, honestly. And I hate to say the word testimony because I feel like that's so cheesy. But I was sitting at a church picnic not that long ago when our church had a picnic, and there was like, I don't know how many people, 1,500 people there or so. And I wasn't talking to anybody because when I go to church, like, I want to go to church to learn about God. I don't want to socialize with people. I just don't. I have issues. But I was sitting there and I felt very convicted because I was sitting by myself. The only reason why I went was because Jordan wanted to go.
And free food. So.
I didn't eat.
Okay.
I don't eat that food. Ugh, no. No. I think I had a bag of a little prepackaged bag of Fritos. That's what I ate. And I didn't even eat those until after I went and found a mutual friend that we have. And she was sitting at a table, and I was like, okay, you can be my safe person because I don't want to be here. So I'm just going to come sit by you. And she's like, I don't really want to be here either. So I felt really bad, okay, because we're sitting at a round table. And it's like, literally, I'm sitting from like me to you to this lady that I didn't know. And I'm sitting here like this, talking to my friend sitting next to me for probably a good 20 minutes, okay? And I did not know, come to find out, the lady that was sitting next to me was new to our church. She'd only been going for like 4 months. She'd just gotten baptized.
And she's never come back.
She didn't know anybody. So I assumed that she knew everybody else at the table, but she didn't. And she came out of a UPC church.
See?
I know. And I felt so bad because I'm sitting here like this.
She could have been a sponsor of the show by now.
And so our friend, she looked at me because somebody introduced me to the lady sitting next to me, and I started talking to her, come to find out her story. And she just looks at me, my friend sitting over here, she's like, God did that. God made you sit there for that reason. And I felt so convicted. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Because then I got to connect with her, and she had a really cool story, and I almost missed it.
You're working your way to just being outward and jovial all the time, just running up to random strangers and hugging them.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
Jeremy does that.
I hug them from behind.
Really, right now? That's what we're going to do? Really? No, he overshares, though. Like, when we go out in public, he overshares.
Let's just
I have a history of oversharing.
Let's just what?
Let's just say this, though. We do like our church. We like our church a lot. Mm. We do. It's just Jennifer and I are both kind of introverts.
Yeah, you're working your way into it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only been there for 6 years.
Well, but considering where you came from, like that's not a flip of the switch.
And we both deal with stress by joking and being sarcastic.
Right, yeah, and that's the thing, too. I'm going to move this so the screensaver doesn't come on.
Wow,
you're welcome.
Planning ahead.
I know.
Sarcasm is
our way of coping, and it's not always healthy. But yeah, that's what I do.
I don't know anything about sarcasm.
No, Gary is never sarcastic, ever. Never. That's why we get along so well, though, because I feel like we just, like, Kelly's very sarcastic, too.
Yeah.
So that's why I started talking to you guys, because I felt safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in good company.
So as you're getting to the point where you realize these people, my former friends and family, are not talking to me anymore. Now I'm in a new church where I don't talk to anybody.
Okay, that's partially my fault. Yes.
But you're still more isolated than you've ever been.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Right. Well, and not only go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, how'd that affect? Because you're doing all this studying, learning about God. You were learning things that you hadn't before due to the church you were at.
Yeah.
How'd that affect just the way you were learning it and how you were accepting.
How we were learning it?
Well, how you're isolated. You're gathering this information, but you're not really being able to. You're not sharing it, or you're not like fellowshipping, because fellowship's a huge part of Christianity and faith. So you're kind of neglecting that aspect of it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, during that time period, at first we were studying with another couple the standards, and once we went through hair and I think jewelry with them.
No, we just did hair. Remember,
Just hair?
because we
Okay.
didn't want to offend them.
Okay, so hair.
We love them. They're actually. I hate to use the word actually, but they're good, solid Christians, and like they love Jesus, and they were actually very kind to us when we left. So I don't really have.
And still are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we still talk to them occasionally, but yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So anyway, so we studied out hair, and then after that, we kind of parted ways on the studying together, because in the end, our conclusion was that it wasn't biblical, and I want to be careful with how I word this, because they might not see it the same way, but our perception was, from the way they worded things when we were discussing like kind of the conclusions, was their idea was, well, it's not necessarily biblical for women to not ever cut their hair, but where do you draw the line? Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, then we'll just say you never cut it, because then it's not ever too short. And I'm like, well, to me, it's either you do or you don't, or you can or you can't. And Scripture didn't show me that you can't.
Right.
So,
which we're getting into that. We're going to do a series on hair. That's been requested several times.
yeah, Holy Magic Hair, love it.
Yeah. And I do still have my notes from that whole time. So we are going to go into that. Anyway.
So we're going to go notes too?
So,
Well, yeah, that
There
we
will
have
be
to have
notes.
on that one. That's
good.
That's a lot.
So I guess after studying out here, Jennifer and I kind of just started studying on our own. We continued studying standards, and it's like you can't really share your findings with others, because
Word will get around.
you'll be
Right.
labeled a heretic and
Kicked off the platform and
Yep.
yeah.
And so then when we dove into salvation, which was an even bigger no-no, and you can't share that. But it was a cool experience, because a lot of times I would come home from work, and Jennifer had been at work too, and it was like, she would be like, I was studying this today, and I was like, I was studying this, and then we'd be comparing notes and discussing what we've been studying and praying about, and a lot of times we'd end up just sitting on our bed for, I don't know, until late in the evening, even after kids had went to sleep, kind of discussing what we've been studying, what the Lord had given us that day or the last couple days.
That's pretty cool.
But you
Well,
couldn't share with anybody.
No.
Yeah.
We did in an attempt to, I guess, not win my parents or like try to make them leave by any means. That was never like our intention. But we did like make a Bible study. We sat down and wrote out all of our notes and the exact reasons why we were leaving.
And it wasn't to change them. It was more so to
No.
explain why we were doing what we were doing.
There's a lot of guilt.
You felt like an obligation, like
Well,
this isn't just we're not just leaving. This is what we found
Exactly.
out.
It wasn't like we were leaving out of rebellion. It wasn't like we were leaving because we were mad or whatever or offended. It was like we were leaving because we feel like we had to.
Right.
And here's why. I didn't want them thinking that like, I knew that they would be thinking we were going to go to hell, and that I was so guilty. I felt so guilty about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing too, that like we talk a lot about like the loneliness and isolation with like your friends and everything. But that's another thing that I experienced was a lot of guilt, because I was like, I know these people genuinely care, and I know that they think that I just like went off the deep end and now I'm going to go to hell and send my kids to hell. And there's a lot of sincere people.
Were you concerned at the time just about superficial stuff, like what are people going to think about me?
Oh,
Was
yeah.
that bugging you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that, and you don't know what you're doing. Like for me, I didn't know how to put makeup on. I didn't know how to buy pants. Like I had zero idea how to buy shorts.
So
So
could've
you
started
know.
the video podcast back then, like
My gosh, it was bad. It was bad. But the thing is, okay, so I was a mean girl. I'm trying really hard not to be a mean girl anymore. I'm working on it.
I don't see it.
I know, right? It's part of that resting face too. Yeah. But when you're part of the little mean girl club in the UPC church, you make fun of the people who leave, the women.
So you knew.
Oh, I know. I know they made fun of me. I know they did. I'm sure a lot of them would like to sit here and say that they didn't, but I know
the reasons that were probably given.
I'm sure they made fun of my hair. I'm sure they made fun of my clothes. I'm sure they made fun of how I put makeup on for the first 2 or 3 years, 4 years. They probably still do because I suck at makeup. But yeah, it's pretty bad. But all of that, just walking out of my house was traumatizing. Because my neighbors were in that church too, so they saw me every single time I left my house practically, because you see your neighbors all the time when you have little kids and you're outside, and yeah, there was a lot to process there, but yeah, we're here now, and I think that's what kind of prompted us to start sharing, because there's so many good people.
So you wrote the book that you wrote, what was that, 3 years ago?
3 years ago, last month.
So you were out of the church for about 3 years. Then you started, or you probably were writing or journaling or something in between.
I started my blog 2 years after we left or so, because
was it just cathartic?
It was very cathartic. The weird thing was, people started reading it, and I didn't anticipate that. So
and the fans demanded a book.
Yeah,
it wasn't like that.
One time you were at Walmart and you couldn't get down the aisle because all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was Kmart.
Could have been.
Yeah.
It was a blue light special.
Right.
Shout out to 80s kids. Blue light special.
God, my birthday is coming up. It's horrifying. I was almost.
You've talked about this quite a bit.
I know. I am traumatized.
I have a that this is really bothering you. It's not just it's not just I'm turning this
Gary,
certain age.
It's so bad.
I think it really bothers you.
It really does. I have issues. But
why? I mean,
I don't know. That's what Jeremy says. He's like, why do you even care?
I don't know if you know this, but we're all going to die one day.
One of these days you're going to wake up dead.
I mean,
thanks, guys.
It's just going to happen.
Thanks. And that's part of the reason why I don't want to turn when I'm turning. It's horrifying.
What are you turning, babe?
I'm an 80s baby. That's all that matters.
Well,
yeah.
So we digress.
Yeah.
To the birthday.
I'm going to be 40.
It's okay. Just embrace the 40.
No, I don't want to embrace the 40. I want to be 30 again. But here, I do have reasons. You want to hear my reasons?
Why
Threefold.
Why you're so upset about this? You have legit reasons?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's exactly what we were just talking about. Because when I left the church, I was 33.
Okay.
I was 33 years old. I had not had my ears pierced. I had not cut my hair until, as an adult. I was 7 last time I had a haircut. Because that's when my mom got in when I was 7.
Man, think of all the power you had when you left.
Yeah.
For those who don't get the joke, holy magic hair, the longer the hair, the more the power.
I'm sure people got that joke. You don't have to mansplain. But I'm gonna, I missed out. And I feel like when I turn 40,
you're out of time of
I feel like I'm an actual, that's middle age. That's you're not young anymore.
But 40's not old.
It's not young.
It's not old.
But I feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff.
Well, what you don't do is don't take a long, hard look at yourself in the mirror, because then it's I really am 40. Or don't. I'm just messing with
I was going to say, that's your advice, Gary. Thank you.
You just glance in the mirror.
No. Yeah, it's quick glances.
My word.
You give a glance that's enough for 25. You just glance, all right?
Yeah, it's
because the longer you stare, the older you are.
It's not gray hair. It's.
I don't have gray hair.
I have some.
I do not have gray hair.
I have a lot.
I pay to get rid of that.
I literally, on my 40th birthday, I remember I threw my back out getting out of bed the morning of my 40th 40.
Listen, I've heard a lot of stories like
And
that.
I went, you got to be freaking kidding me.
My boss's
All I did
friend
was
fell down the
step out of
stairs.
bed. Yeah.
Like,
I thought it was so ironic. I'm like, this is seriously just happening. I can't freaking move.
this is all the reasons why I'm terrified.
No, 40 is great. I mean, it's your body just plugs away, doesn't act like it's old or anything. It'll be fine. We'll have a big celebration. Well, it'll be a big cake. Some right here. It's not a good video. Blow the candles
Let's
out.
not. I will gradually just not say anything. We'll just move into the new year and like it didn't even happen.
We could do a poll. See if people could get it.
What's the poll?
Does Jen look 40 today? And then if people just say no, if they just keep saying no, then you feel good about yourself.
Okay, so
Thanks.
for those that may watch this video, put in the comments, does Jen look 40?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I do not look like I'm 40.
No, not at all. You're much younger.
I know. I'm like, because I'm 29.
Exactly. It's all in your mind.
Anyways.
So, yeah. UPC, leaving UPC. You're at your current church for a little bit. You're dodging people. You see the Millers walk by and you give them the look like I think that's the coach, but I'm not saying anything.
No, that's not true at all.
That guy's creepy too.
No, listen.
It's dip, dodge, duck.
Yeah.
I am the one that approached Kelly
About
going to the same church. That was me.
Okay.
I initiated that conversation because I was like, you look strangely familiar. So I actually did do that.
That was good.
Yeah. She's the one that strong-armed me into your small group, but
That is true. I remember that.
yes.
You guys didn't have an option.
I didn't have an option on that.
You
no.
don't have an option when you're signed up without being told.
Right.
And I think that we've set a record for a church on the number of people that have joined our group and left.
I take a small credit for that.
Four solid members over the years. Those two.
Well, I mean,
Well, there was a couple other.
we're very interesting people, and it takes a specific kind of person to get along with us.
One-time visits. There was a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite an.
Yeah.
We had a little group,
But now we don't do that anymore.
but yeah, we're taking a break. They quit sending people our way, I think.
No, they signed them up too. They just didn't tell you yet.
Yeah,
Right.
They're going to show up at your house one Sunday afternoon.
Right.
we'll find a way to get rid of them.
I was kind of wondering if that's why the one pastor cornered me the other day, because I'm not in a small group anymore. But he didn't bring it up. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's just he's a nice guy. It's not his thing. It's totally me. I was a Wednesday night. I was coming in from work, and I was just like, I didn't want to talk to anybody, so I sit in the back, and I don't talk to anybody except for my like 2 or 3 little friends. And then he started talking and wouldn't stop talking to me, so then I had to engage in conversation. But it's fine.
Darn fellowship.
I know. Gosh darn it.
Stupid.
But okay, anything you want to add?
God's good. God's faithful.
Well, I mean, that's true.
Yeah. I think we ought to ask Gary some questions. So, Gary, tell us about your walk with the Lord and kind of where that all started.
That is valid. No, but you do have an interesting story. Like, way more interesting than ours, I feel like.
No, I don't know how interesting it is. I wasn't raised in any type of church. I did have a father who, when he was a young man, was, I guess, I don't know what you call it. He was thinking about being a Baptist preacher. And
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, he just didn't end up doing it. He didn't want to dedicate his entire life just to strictly God, I think. But growing up, I always had kind of like a spiritual advisor in him. He knew scripture, he knew stuff like that, but it was never like any practiced religion in our house. When I was 9, that summer I was 9, my mom's stepfather and his wife called and asked if I wanted to go to church with them. Said sure. I don't remember what type of church it was. I just remember where it was at and locally. Went to church with them. It was one of the experiences where kind of at the end of the service, the pastor would say, is anyone in here saved or want to be saved? If you haven't and you want to get to know Jesus, raise your hand type stuff, right? So of course I'm 9. I'm like, well, I don't know Jesus. I'd like to. And then so after that, went out into the vestibule with him, sat across from him, kind of Indian style. And he's like, all right, let's pray. And I'm just like mimicking everything he's doing. And he's talking, saying some stuff. I'm just sitting there like, what's going on? And all of a sudden it was quiet. And I looked up and he's kind of like looking at me across the way, like it's my turn to pray. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do here. So I said a prayer, and I was saying what I thought was a prayer, and then like really, it was kind of like that physical reaction that you get when you have a spiritual encounter. Like it was just, your whole body just gets these chills, and it was like, I've described it as like warm milk being poured over you.
That's so crazy because you were 9 and like you did not know.
I had no idea. Like it was so weird. Like I can picture it today. The vestibule was like, there's glass on the ceiling, but so there was sun coming through, but there's plants in each corner. So it was like a real like medieval looking setting too, like tile and stuff. But I got this feeling. I finished my prayer. He said, congratulations, gave me a hug. And then I went, I don't remember how long it was. It was probably a matter of 6 or 8 weeks, but I went long enough to get my free kids Bible that you guys have made fun of.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to bring that.
Okay, yeah. But this Bible.
But
it's not the fact that it's a kid's Bible. It's the fact he has a shirt on it.
Yeah, well, the cover was breaking. So I got that and was making friends and stuff, and then suddenly my grandparents, like towards the end of the summer, fall, they're like, we're changing churches. I don't know what happened. How adults are. They probably heard something I didn't like, or anyway, I got all upset because I just made all these friends and really liked going, and then so I just never went back to church. And then it wasn't until I was 25 or so that I really started getting a call just on my heart that I needed to kind of pursue God, and started diving back into reading my little Bible that I repaired with a shirt. Met my wife at church on a mission trip, cleaning them up after a tornado. And a year later we were engaged. A year later we were married. 10 months later Kyle came. 10 months later. But I mean, it was all like, I just kind of gotten to a point, in my teens and early 20s were just filled with, drinking and smoking pot and stuff. I had suffered some abuse when that same summer I got saved. I was sexually abused by an older male cousin, which was weird. Obviously God had his hand in all that, to where at this time, this horrible thing's happening to me. I got kind of exposed to God, to where it just, I don't know. I think if that encounter hadn't happened, if I went to church and just had that moment where I was saved, like genuinely, and invited Jesus into my life, even though I didn't pursue him all those years, I really feel like he was heavily involved in protecting me, because I did a lot of really stupid and I was very self-destructive.
What's so crazy to me is that in the UPC, that would not have been considered an experience, but yet that's what drew you back to God.
Yeah.
And you were 9, you didn't know. It's not like you could have made that up, or I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. You weren't doing it just because,
I had no idea.
Exactly. But and so it's obviously authentic. Obviously something happened, but if I had heard that story while I was still in the UPC, I would have made fun of it.
Yeah, it was weird.
So
it wasn't until later when I started going to church regularly, when I was 24ish, 25ish there, and I had some experiences. Just you're really pouring into it, so you're, I guess, more open to that type of emotion that comes. So when I experienced that again, all those years later, that same type of physical sensation, all that memory of 9 just kind of flooded back into. So it was really neat. It kind of authenticated it for me in my mind, because I was later and I understood more what I was pursuing, rather than when I was 9. I'm just like, well, I haven't, I don't know, I'm not saved. Yeah, it was.
I mean, to me, that's pretty awesome, because I think it's proof that you took a step towards God, and even though you maybe didn't pursue him from that point forward for several years, like you said, you think he had a hand in your life, so obviously he was still pursuing you.
Yeah,
And he was still there with
100%,
you.
Yeah.
I'm 100% convinced. I mean, I could rattle off a dozen different stories where I could have easily just been dead just from stupid choices, you know, whether from drinking and driving to walking underneath train tracks on like little bitty bars covered in ice, stuff like that, where it's like, you know, could have easily been.
Yeah, almost like that movie you were watching the other day.
The Lost Boys?
Well, it's just.
Are you a vampire, Gary?
I don't think so. I've been aging.
They purposely let go of the railroad tracks.
Michael.
That's right.
We've been there.
To that.
Yeah.
Her sister got married on that train track.
No, my brother, but close enough.
Whatever.
Good try.
Yeah. They have a house out there. Their family does. So, anyway.
So, I mean, that's the gist of my story. Then my wife and I met, started, you know, we're kind of I would say a first generation Christian family where she was raised Catholic. It was more or less just going through the procedures of being Catholic. But she started pursuing like a genuine relationship with God around the same time I did. And we started going to the same church, but we didn't really know each other or see each other because it was a pretty large church. But we met on that mission trip, and then so we made this commitment to raise our kids Christian.
One thing that
Second
like
guessing
that helped us helped me for sure, and I know Jeremy will agree too, was looking at other Christian families that weren't the same religion that we were, that didn't have all the standards and rules, and how they were raising their kids to love God, and how they weren't like deviants and, you know, burden on society kind of thing. Because that's what we were always told. Like, if we left, our kids would, you know, turn into these terrible monsters, which, whatever. But I had a friend in high school, and her parents were very strong Christian and whatever. Raised their kids. They're good kids. Like, I mean, they're my age, they're not kids, but like, you know, she's raising kids now in the Christian faith, my friend. I can't talk. Anyways, but that's kind of what gave us hope, like, for our kids to leave. And so while like we would have mocked your experience, like, I hate to admit that, but we totally would have. Like, that's testimony to me, because you don't have to have all these extra rules and regulations and show up to church 5 or 6 times a week and do everything the pastor says
to have that experience.
And to like make that commitment to raise your kids in a Christian faith and to walk close to God. And it's just awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously you guys are parents. There's times where you feel like, well, I'm not doing such a good job at this. We've had conversations about that. So, but just keep faith that it'll all turn out all right.
So on a lighter note, was there any spiritual experiences during your lead singing of Mr. Fidget days?
Gary sang in a band.
They released
some of
one
them
album.
Some of them could have been classified as spiritual. But yeah.
I'm really glad that I got to listen to the CD of that.
I don't know how I could answer that without losing viewers after one episode. I had a lot of fun. I mean, we've talked about it in the past. I had young parents, really young parents, and I think I was an experiment as far as, hey, just let him do whatever he wants and see what happens. But there was a lot of, I just didn't get told no a lot from at any age from my parents. So I got away with a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't have.
I mean, let's be honest. All children are precious. However, they are all an experiment. Yeah. Because we're all just trying to figure it out.
We have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't fault my mom or dad with the way that they chose to raise me. I looking back on it, it's like probably wasn't a good idea to let me do a couple of the things they let me do. Especially, I drank a lot, and it was not encouraged, but it wasn't discouraged.
I can't even imagine having that kind of upbringing. My mom would have croaked if she knew I was drinking.
My first sip of alcohol was 14, and my parents knew about it.
That's crazy to me. That's so crazy.
And then from then on, it was always like, well, if you guys are getting a drink, let us, it was a legit, like.
Which I get, like you rather than drinking where you can monitor them.
I see that angle that they took.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to take that angle with our kids.
No. My daughter's going to be 20 in 2 weeks, which is horrifying in itself.
So if I'm doing simple math, if there's a 40 coming up and a 20, carry the one. With you. But yeah,
we don't let her drink. So like if she does behind my back, that's on her. But
I think we talked about
this illegal.
in the podcast where I talked about that abuse. I mean, I was just freaking self-medicating for a long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I'm 14 years sober now. So it wasn't until my oldest son, shortly after his second birthday, where I really, for a couple of years up to then, after I had gotten married and had kids, I was just battling the whole, I don't have a problem, I can stop whenever I want type stuff. Or I only do it every now and then. But the problem is when I was drinking every bit of liquor in the county at the same time. So it wasn't until I really just chose to face and go to some counseling and face head on that abuse that suddenly the substance abuse and the drinking and stuff, smoking pot and drinking wasn't it's ever since I dealt with that and got comfortable with it and went through the whole process, I just don't have the desire to do it. Like drink or smoke pot or anything.
That's awesome, though.
Because the reason's gone.
Right.
Along with God and a very supportive wife and family, and there's all those aspects too. But the biggest thing was just facing the reason why I felt compelled to do what I did.
Yeah, I think that counseling and therapy is key for like everybody, like no matter what. Like I think
mandatory.
Yeah, I'm a very big proponent of that.
I learned a lot about myself, the reasons why I do the things I do.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Some aspects we're still
working on Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Got to get him to go. But okay, I think that we covered everything. So I did kind of want to go through like what our plans are for the future.
Do we have a plot?
We have a plot. We don't necessarily have a plan, maybe. But, listen, we all work. This is our heartbeat. This is what we want to do, but this is not, we don't get paid to do this either. So we're, I know, right? Sorry, Gary. Hate to break it to you. But anyway, so we are trying. But this is something we wanted to do. So I know we had some discussions. I know hair is one of the big things that we're going to do. I think that'll be, I don't know if we can break it down like we did the history of the UPC kind of in a couple of different episodes. I do want to go through that. Standards of the UPC, holiness, we want to go through that. I don't necessarily want to just go through like the biblical reasons as to why we don't have to do those things or why, they're not meant for Christians today. I do want to do that, but I also want to go through like the psychological issue that comes out of that, like the self-esteem issues that come out of that, especially for women, because you guys probably don't experience low self-esteem. But when you're told what you can and can't wear all of the time, how you have to present yourself, at least for me, and I know a lot of people that I've talked to, it was damaging. So I do want to go through that, and I want to, I have a list of other things that we're going to cover, but those are the main two. I think we are going to go through at some point maybe like salvation and grace, kind of what brought us out as far as revelation of grace, because that is huge. If you're leaving the UPC or thinking about leaving the UPC or other holiness denominations, if you're just leaving because of the standards, our pastor actually said this when we first left.
You're not going to make it.
You're not going to make it, right? And then I know we had this discussion with someone else recently who does a lot of like blogs and I don't know. I think they're about ready to start doing podcasts. Anyway, just the percentage of people who leave that don't study against the percentage of people who leave and they do study their way out. How many of those are still Christians? And it's huge. Like studying your way and being grounded in your faith is huge when it comes to leaving an organization like that.
Huge.
So those are all the things that we want to go through, and I'm sure there's a lot more, but I did want to just kind of like get an introduction out there, get things started. The beginning of the year is coming up, so give us grace, because I might take me a few episodes or so to figure it out.
Yeah, and just like the name of the channel, Amateur Faith Night, we are amateurs.
Yeah, like I said, we don't get paid to do this.
We don't get paid to do this. We're not theologians.
We're buying everything with our own money, so
yeah,
it is what it is. But we do, I think that this is our calling. This is our ministry, I think.
Halamashanda.
I'm so sorry. Anyways, anyway, so we did want to get started on our video, and I think we're good. I think we're done, right? We got to come up with like a sign off or something. Now
Stay
we have to be
classy,
like,
San Diego.
Like and subscribe. Isn't that what they're supposed to do on YouTube?
yes, like and subscribe. Yes, that would be awesome, because if we only have 2 subscribers, we're going to look really sad, guys. So feel sorry for us.
It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, so subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit like. It helps us in the YouTube algorithms.
True.
It lets us know that you're actually listening. Please comment. And like I said a while ago, stay classy, San Diego.
Yeah. See you later.